Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacqueline. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacqueline at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome, or hopefully it's welcome back to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, and our show today is Talking Heads. What is the Talking Heads platform, you're wondering? It is a place where experts are invited from around the world to share their knowledge, their expertise, and their successes and failures in their own 30-minute show. Our expert presenter today is Mr. red.olaughlin. And if you missed the show right before this one, please do go over to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV, and subscribe and look for the wise ones. And you'll be able to see Red and I interview our guests from today, Ed Katz. Now let's bring out the star of our show, red.olaughlin. Hi, Red.
Thank you. Hi there. Thank you so very much, Dr. Jacqueline. It seems like it was just literally minutes ago we were on a different studio, and now we're on the Talking Head studio. So good to see you again.
Sir. Thank you. It's good to see you as well. And I'm going to go backstage and produce. So just let me know when you need your deck, and I hope you have a fabulous show.
I shall do my best. Take care. red.olaughlin here. My disclaimer for this program is I'm not a doctor. I have no medical degree, never worked in the pharmaceutical industry. I'm a chemist. My first love before I got an invitation to Vietnam was chemistry, long before I met my wife. But I researched the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat a symptom, you'll always be treating symptoms. So when I go into a particular topic, whether it be longevity, aging, Alzheimer's, heart health, whatever, I look for what causes things to happen. If you can stop something from happening or activate something that will make it change, then you're making some progress. But as always, I cannot prescribe anything. That's not my business. My business is awareness, number one. Number two, education. So if I can give you some thoughts that will allow you to talk to your doctor more intelligently, saying, hey, what about this? Those are things that help. Not that long ago, I started doing research on heart health. I wanted to write a book on it. In fact, I have about, I'm going to say, about 3.5, 4 inches of papers that I have published. That's about 42 articles right there of interest to me. Now, there's probably over 100 that I had, but those are the ones I thought were most apropos to what I have going on. And so when I looked at today's show, I said, I really need to go into a little bit more detail, not much, just a little bit more detail into why things happen and how they affect the heart. And then I want to do a quick summary and wrap everything up. So let's see how fast we can get through this today, and we'll go from there. So Dr. Jacqueline, if you would please put up the first one. Okay, we have, I call this thing nutritional balance and summary. So many times we eat things, we take supplements, but we're not necessarily nutritionally balanced. I've told the story many times about my wife having fatigue problems with chemotherapy treatments for her breast cancer a few years ago. And literally the first week that she was on a program, the Walls Protocol, WAHLS protocol, Dr. Terry Walls wrote the book, The Walls Protocol. She put herself on it after being years in multiple sclerosis and unable to do anything in a wheelchair. My wife, literally within 48 to 72 hours with nutritional balance from that diet I got out of the book, The Walls Protocol, was able to eliminate months of chemo fog and weeks of what would become radiation fog and literally just have a life again. So when you look at the food we eat or the supplements we take, there are things in there that we really do need to keep our focus on the balance of everything that's there. Calcium is one. Now, most of the time you buy calcium as a pill, it's calcium carbonate. Literally, it's going to end up in the toilet. There's so many things you got to do to make that carbonate molecule absorbable in the body. Calcium citrate is much easier, but that calcium is needed for a reason. Many years ago, when I was in Germany working for the military, U.S. military, I was on a program at that point in time. It was not the Walls Protocol. It was Dr. Atkins' diet. I literally cut out all carbohydrates. I was down to less than 10 grams a day, loving it. I lost a fair amount of weight. The only thing I couldn't do was run 5 miles on a daily basis. I had trouble too. Prior to that, I could run an hour, hour and a half nonstop without any problems. But that was something I was willing to give up. Well, it turned out that over time, being on that Atkins diet, by my choice of foods, I became in a more acidic condition. Acidosis is what it's called. And as such, I didn't even know it at the time. It was actually after I retired from the military that I had a bone density test, and I found out I'm osteopenia. And I said, no way, and it could be. I mean, I'd been weightlifting for years and running miles and miles and miles. I figured I had very, very strong bones. I didn't. So as I researched it, I found out that calcium was being leached out of my bones because the pH of my body was acidic. And as such, that really helps the transport of calcium, but it does, and that's how it gets into the bloodstream to stabilize the bloodstream. But it wasn't doing me any good because I was ending up with not brittle bone, but I was certainly going down that road. But calcium is one of the requirements for the heart that causes a constriction. It tightens the muscles up. Magnesium relaxes the muscles. So when you look at your heart pumping, it goes and it squeezes all that blood out. That's your systolic blood pressure. That's when everything's high on the top. And then it kind of relaxes. That magnesium allows that muscle to relax a little bit. And as such, now you have your systolic and your diastolic, and those are the two pressures. And they're controlled synchronously through your autonomic nervous system, the things you don't even think about, your breathing, your pulse rate, your respiration, your digestion. That part of your subconscious mind controls all that. So as you're doing everything, you have to have the right level balance of the chemicals in the body and in the right places in the body. When you don't, then a lot of things can happen. And particularly with the muscle contractions back and forth, a heart issue is arrhythmia. Too much, you end up with problems. Too little, you end up with other problems. In fact, one of the easiest ways to tell if you have a calcium issue is if you start feeling a little twitch you're sitting there watching TV or reading a book, and all of a sudden you get a little twitch. It might be right below your eye. It might be on your edge of your arm, your leg, and you get a little twitch, a little twitch, a little twitch. That is probably a calcium deficiency. Sometimes you're laying in bed at night and all of a sudden your legs start to cramp up a little bit. That may be a potassium or a magnesium deficiency, electrolytes. So that's your body telling you, hey, I got a problem, and you may not necessarily be aware of what it is. Let's go to the next slide, doctor. So as I found out with calcium, the way you get it into the bloodstream is you have to have the magnesium to help the absorbability, but you also need vitamin D3 to actually get it in there. Dr. Eric Berg, as I was doing some research for this today, says that it basically 20 times the amount of calcium is absorbed in the gut when you have vitamin D3 sufficient in the body. Well, vitamin D3 also gets the calcium into the bones. So as you're taking your food, whether it's a supplement or through your food, and I strongly recommend the food rather than supplements, because you have the fiber, you have the cofactors, you have everything else you really need to make that mineral or that vitamin really work well in the body. But he says that you need the vitamin K2 and the vitamin D3 to actually get the calcium into the bones. And part of the solution for that is the K2. It's the monoquinone 7. There's two primary ones, 4 and 7. There's some other ones, but 7 is the long-lasting one. The monoquinone 4 is the one that's the 24-hour and really the workhorse. But the vitamin D3 gets it in there. And conversely, if your pH goes down, as mine did when I was in the acidosis, then the body's going to take the calcium out of the bone. So you need alkaline condition of the body. You need magnesium, you need calcium, you need vitamin D3, you need vitamin K2 to actually get that calcium into the bone. Now, what if you don't have vitamin K2? It ends up as plaque in your heart valves and arteries. Again, another problem that you don't want. So there's a lot of interrelationships there between calcium, vitamin D3, magnesium. And when you don't have those things, the risk of plaque development is great. There's a molecule called EDTA, ethylene diamine tetracetic acid. I remember the first time I ever actually manufactured this thing, created it in the chemistry lab. I think I borrowed a pair of, at that time, my wife was my girlfriend, and we needed nylon stockings in order, that wasn't even nylons back then. But anyway, we actually created this in the laboratory. I thought this was kind of neat. But EDTA is actually used to remove plaque from the body. Now, most of the time, this is done under doctor's treatment with a drip or an injection. However, you can buy EDTA for generally under $20 as a pill form, and it's safe to take, but do not take it just arbitrarily because you have a plaque buildup. Talk to your doctor to find out exactly what's there, because there may be some other interference with other drugs and things that you're taking. So that's very, very important. And if you're doing that and you're starting to remove plaque from the body, you really should be considering a natural antibiotic such as ginger, garlic, or oregano, even honey, cloves. There are things in there that don't have side effects that allow that vein, artery, heart valve to have a little bit of healing that's in there. But the plaque buildup, the EDTA, those are things that can be done. Vitamin K2, the MK4 is a very good plaque remover. Let's go ahead and jump to the next slide, doctor. And so as I'm looking at natural antibiotics in part of my plaque removal program, it's, again, talk to your doctor. Just don't start taking extra ginger because you think it's going to help. These are things that can help you. You understand what's there, but this is more of a team effort to get yourself on, especially if you're on any kind of prescription medicines. If you have a real question about it, go see your pharmacist because they may have a better understanding of that. But sodium Na is another problem. Sometimes you have too little and your body may be weak or fatigued. Sometimes it's too much. It increases your blood pressure. But sometimes they put you on a low salt diet to remove or to lower your blood pressure. Well, that's great. It works sometimes, but it gets you into an imbalance of what you have, your electrolytes and everything. And so you end up in a situation, you're drinking water, you're on a low salt diet, you think everything's going fine, but you're actually dehydrated from a perspective of, I don't have the electrolytes that I need in my body because I'm peeing them out, because I'm drinking water and I'm staying away from salt. And as such, now you have that imbalance in there and it's creating a problem. Magnesium, at least 500, probably 600 different chemical reactions in the body need magnesium. If you look at the green color in green vegetables, you're looking at magnesium. Potassium is also the same thing there. Let's go to the next slide, doctor. And so you have the green vegetables that has a lot of stuff in there in addition to the fiber, but potassium is K, is the chemical symbol for potassium. But potassium is the one that addresses the electrical conductivity. In other words, that pulse, that thing that sets the heart going, boom. And so you get that surge of electrical energy that causes the muscles to contract, blood pushes out, all of a sudden everything relaxes. But that electrical conductivity is caused by the calcium. So when you start having, potassium, you start having a potassium imbalance. Now all of a sudden you're starting to play with the electrical rhythm of the heart. Again, arrhythmias may be an issue there. But potassium is stored mainly inside the cells. And when you do a potassium level check of the electrolytes in the body, everything looks fine, but you may actually have an imbalance because you don't have enough potassium inside the cells. Another problem that you might have that causes an imbalance is your stomach acid. If you're drinking a lot of water or a lot of fluid with your meal, your stomach acid should have a very, very low pH because that's what dissolves everything that comes into the stomach, the food you're eating. It gets that nutrition out of the foods and into a usable form for the gut to work with. So if you're drinking, you're diluting the stomach acid and you're negating the digestive process of the body. So just like other things that are out there, the stomach acid should be there. So drink 30 minutes before or after a meal, fine, but try to limit the drinking during a meal. Diuretics is basically the same story as your salt-free diet. If you're taking a diuretic to lower blood pressure, for instance, you're looking for a very quick way to get into electrical imbalance. It's one of those things that is a problem, and you should be aware of it. Sugar and vitamin C, ascorbic acid, basically are two molecules that they're not mirror images of each other, but they're very similar in their molecular structure. And as such, the body has an affinity for sugar more so than vitamin C. So if you have a vitamin C diet that you're eating a lot of fruit, but you also have a lot of sugar, then the body's going to more than likely take the sugar molecule over the vitamin C. So now you end up with a situation where you're providing an avenue for oxidation in the body. You're also, let's go to the next slide, doctor. We're having a situation we call insulin resistance, in which the minerals are not getting into the cells because that insulin is stopping it. You have too much blood glucose, and as such, your risk of plaque goes up. If you're getting a little bit of extra iron, oxidation goes up. Lots of issues there all surround that imbalance with regard to the potassium, calcium, magnesium that are all involved in that. So sugar is an interrupter. And if you're looking for something to control to make your heart healthier, that is something you can do. But again, just don't go, okay, on a sugar-free diet. There's too many things that interact, and to start doing that, again, especially if you're on a prescription med, talk to somebody who knows. Vitamin E is literally 8 different molecules, as for tocopherols and for tocotrienols. And when you have a heart cramp or angina, one of the causes is you're not getting enough vitamin E. Now, vitamin E is not found, all 8 of them are not found in any single product, but they are found in a bunch of nuts and oils and other things. Stress causes cortisol, but also causes adrenaline to be released. And there's a reason. You need that extra blood flow to address whatever problem you have. And as such, when that stressful situation happens and you have constriction because you have too much calcium, not enough potassium, now all of a sudden the blood needs to be someplace and it can't get there. What happens? Now you're in a really good position for a stroke because the blood is there, everything's planned for it to be there. It's not arriving where it's supposed to be. Boom, you have a problem. So as you look at your vitamins, your B1, B2, B3, B6, B12, those are things that cause vasodilation, constriction. They're all part of the big equation, but you need to have all of those things working in balance. And when you don't, then we have a problem. So we're looking now about almost at the end of we're 18 out of 30 minutes. I started to get ahead of myself, so I started rambling. Let's go ahead and go to the next section, please. Next slide. So when I get into the summary, we've talked the last 5 weeks about heart health myths, which ones are real, which ones aren't. We've talked about the causes of heart disease, and we went into almost 20 different causes of if this one's too high, if this one's too low, those things that you have control over by diet mainly, but there are some other things in there that you do have control over. And those are things that when you start looking at what can I do? What can I talk to my doctor about? That information is invaluable. So we look at the typical symptoms. You got your fatigue, you got swollen ankles, you got chest pain, discomfort, shortness of breath. Sometimes you got numbness in your arms, your legs, your back, your jaw, a lot of different places. And those things can all be related to a heart condition, but they also can be related to other things. And so as such, you need to know what exactly are you having at that time. And I pushed this thing the last couple sessions that we've done here on USA Global TV and radio, is the fact that if you keep a record of what's going on, let's say you keep a daily record of your pulse rate, if you have an oxygenator, that's especially with COVID out there, that is probably one of the best measuring devices to give you a real good indication of your health, is how much oxygen is actually flowing through your body. It's that one they usually clamp on in the hospital onto one of your fingers, and it reads the oxygen impulse. Take your blood pressure. Keep records of those things so that when you actually do see your doctor and you have a problem, you say, well, 6 months ago, I had no problem at all. Now, all of a sudden, I'm starting to see the same thing, whatever that same thing may be. But also take a look at what's going on in your life. What stressors are out there, your boss, your spouse, your kids, your job, other things. There's just so many things. In fact, I'm thinking about doing the next 6 sessions on stress. I'm pretty much, that's the direction I'm leaning right this minute. But stress causes so many, it's what, 90%, 95% of all doctors' visits have a genesis in stress at some level. So as you start looking at these things and you're writing down the symptoms as you're writing down the actual recordings of whatever your blood measurements are, that becomes an invaluable record to sit down with your doctor and say, this, and this. And then he or she will ask you, well, what about this and this? If you have it written down, boom, it's there. If you don't have it written down, I don't know, maybe I can't remember when, but it makes it just a whole lot easier. So if you want to control your health, you start having a problem somewhere along the way, let's start getting that thing recorded so that people who do know what to do can make those changes, and they can make them quickly and early. When do you really have to see your doctor? Well, obviously, anytime you have a sudden cardiac arrest, you're on the ground and nothing's happening, stop breathing, loss of consciousness, those are major medical emergencies. If you don't know how to do CPR, and you or somebody in your family should know how to do it, especially if somebody is near you and you can get to a phone, because by the time you get 911 and you are unable to talk, they may be able to find you, but with cell phones nowadays, not a guarantee. But we had a case here, family emergency, medical emergency, where we had to actually administer CPR, and I'm sitting down there and I'm just pushing like crazy. But I've had years of training, and it was something that we could do between myself and other family members to address an issue. Ambulance came, we turned everything over to them. Everything was fine. Spent a couple of days in the hospital, boom, perfectly healthy today. But again, learn how to recognize when you have a problem and go from there. So as we start looking at those things, what are the typical causes? Well, sometimes it's a genetic. You get born with something, a congenital issue. 95% of the time, genetics is not an issue, because epigenetically you can change through lifestyle and not turn that gene on. That doesn't guarantee every single time, but 19 times out of 20, you have control over your genetics. Diet is a big one. Exercise, and these are causes, and the same cause is the prevention on the other end. If a diet is an issue, well, then the prevention is also a diet. If exercise or non-exercise is a cause, then the ability to increase or diversify, in some case, your exercises. Maybe at this point in time, all you can do is walk. That's fine. At least you're getting out and doing something. You're getting sunshine, fresh air. A lot of those things are de-stressing agents. And then maybe over time you pick up a little bit more, maybe balance, stretching, maybe strength training. There's a lot of different ways you can go with regard to exercise. Weight management, I think almost everybody agrees that obesity is a problem. Smoking is a problem. A lot of issues in constriction and toxins in the body when you have smoke there in the lungs. Some drugs that you may be taking can cause heart issues. And so it's nice to know that if one of the side effects of your pills that you're taking might be a heart, let's say arrhythmia, or might be a heart pulse issue, lowers your pulse rate, it's nice to know what's causing that, because now when you're measuring things, okay, it's probably that. I'll ask the doctor next time I see them. Now, I do joke around with my pharmacy. I don't go in there very often, but when I do, I say, hey, can I drink and drive with this medicine? And I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, they take me seriously. And 8 out of those 9 times, they're going to say, oh, yeah, that's fine. And they don't realize what they're saying. They're thinking in a different way. But obviously, drinking and driving under any medicine is not advised. But I do that to kind of, from a humorous perspective, but also to kind of check out, are they really listening to what I'm asking? And so what else are we looking at? The 50% of the time when you have a heart attack and die from it, you don't even have any idea you have a heart issue. That's kind of a really, 1 out of 2 people, you die. That's a problem. And so if you're not aware of something and you think you're in good health, I saw an article just past couple of days. Most men stop going to the doctor because they feel perfectly good. And then all of a sudden, this wasn't in the article, but we have a tendency of our habits. If we're not going to the doctor, we stay that way because we feel good. If you're feeling good, maybe that's probably the best time to go to the doctor, because everything is copacetic the way you should be. And now you have a baseline for where you're supposed to be at. I went in, I think I was 71 years of age at the time, several years ago. And doctor says, maybe we need a cardiology baseline. So we went in and we had a nuclear EKG, we had a stress test. I had all the different deals to get a baseline. Well, 3 years later, I had an issue with my heart. I have not always been on this health kick most of my life as a naval aviator traveling around the world, eating what I thought was something that was good, but wasn't. Doesn't matter. Most of my stuff nowadays in the last probably 8 to 10 years have been more focused on exactly what I should be doing. But I have residual problems from things way back again. And so nowadays, I am much more attuned. I take my blood pressure every day. I look at my oxygen readings, I look at my pulse. I look at a lot of things, my body's pH. Those are things that I think are very, very important to me. So I note what they are. And if they start getting out of whack, then I start, what could this be? And so the last conversation I had with my doctor, he misinterpreted my conversation about some heart issue that I had. He thought I had angina. So we sat there and had a discussion. What exactly is angina? Well, that's not the symptom that I had. So I was on 2 pills for angina for a few months. Okay, then you don't have angina. We're going to take you off that medicine. So I'm off 2 of the medicines I was on. But it's one of those things that if you know what to talk to your doctor about, it makes your life a whole lot easier. What are some of the risk factors associated with heart disease? Age. You get older, you're definitely going to increase a risk of a lot of different things. But the risk factors can also be your family history. Did your parents, not in-laws, brothers, sisters, uncles, whatever, did they have problems with heart? Did they have problems with memory? Did they have problems with the risk history of is applicable to you too. We talk about this genetic thing. 5% of the time, you may not be able to control it. But 19 times out of 20, there's a risk factor there. There's probably some level of control with lifestyle choices. Smoking, obviously, is a problem in so many different respects. Your diet, if you're eating the wrong kinds of food. When I was on Atkins, all I ate was meat, cheese, eggs, bacon, bacon, bourbon, and butter, 3 of the best things in the world. But I wasn't eating any greens. I wasn't eating any fruit. I wasn't, vegetables and fruit were off limits to me because I didn't want them. I find out years later that I should have been taking them because that would have put my body in an alkaline condition, stopped the acidosis, and really made my life a whole lot better, and probably have reduced the risk of having one of my arteries, the left anterior descending artery, what they call the widowmaker, clog up. And I was fortunate because my heart actually grew two brand new veins, one running across the back and one across the front, down to the blockage, and provided blood flow where otherwise that blockage would have said sayonara, because 9 out of 10 people that have a blockage in the ladder end up dying instantly. It's one of those things that, again, I was never aware of it way back when. Complications, you end up with high blood pressure, atherosclerosis, blood clots, stroke, aneurysms, peripheral artery disease, and that just it just goes on down. And if you know about it ahead of time, you might actually be able to stop some major cardiac event. But the things we need to do, the things we need to be able to concentrate on, is nutritional balance. If I had to say anything at all from any health perspective, if you start out and you want to get nutritional balance in at least 30 of the nutrients the body needs on a daily basis, and I'm talking about the amino acids and the vitamins and the minerals, everything that you need, make sure you're getting, that will probably do the absolute best thing you can do to live a long, healthy life. Exercise at least 20, 30 minutes a day, if at all possible. It doesn't have to be running and jogging. It can be a variety of things. Weight management, you start getting a little bit overweight, those extra few pounds of fat create problems in the body. Maybe not this year, but certainly down range. Stress management is something everyone should be doing every single day. We're not. For most of the cases, we don't even know how. We don't even know that the stress is affecting us. And it's not the stress. It's the holding on to the stress. That is the problem. The stress affects all of us. But it's when you won't let go of the stress, that becomes a problem. And obviously, smoking and alcohol, eliminate one, reduce the other one significantly. I watched a very short video this week on kudzu, and Kudzo, kudzu, Z, kudzu, Kudzu, I believe is. It's that plant you see taking over the world. It just grows all over everything, grows over entire trees. And anyway, it turns out that that leaf is good in a couple different areas. One, it's actually an edible vegetable. You can actually put it in a salad. But more importantly, the kudzu, if you're having an addiction problem with alcohol and in some cases maybe even cocaine, they found that kudzu can really reduce the cravings for alcohol more so than anything else. And it's safe. It's a non-narcotic. It's a natural product. So if you're having, an extra 6-pack or 2 every night, and it's kind of difficult to get away, maybe kudzu might become something to do. And again, as I've said so many times during these sessions, talk to your doctor before you just run out and grab a bottle of EDTA, ethylene diamine tetracetic acid, or kudzu, and just start self-medicating. Yeah, it's nice to know what it is. Let's go to the last slide, please. It's nice to know what everything is. Again, I'm here for awareness and education, but as you start applying it to yourself for prevention, that prevention is actually a team effort between you and your doctor in order to make sure that there are no other issues going on that you need to do. And if you're keeping accurate records, then I think that you're probably going to be far, far ahead of those people who are not aware, not educated, or not preventing anything and have no records to prove it. And Dr. Jacqueline, I think this is going to wrap up session number 6 on heart health and more.
Thank you, Red. That was very fascinating as always. And I love how you provide the disclaimer, because we are providing education here. And that's what we do: education, entertainment, inspiration, and hope.
In so many ways.
Yes, absolutely. So, Red, I would love for you to just share at a very high level, because we haven't actually discussed all the details, but you're going to be hosting and moderating a panel show coming soon. Would you share more about that?
Yeah, Dr. Jacqueline offered me a fantastic opportunity to host a panel discussion. And the one that I envision is on health and wellness, that we would have some experts in the field, subject matter experts on nutrition, on fitness, on alternative lifestyle, on different things that we say, okay, we have a problem here with, let's talk about diet this week. What do we do when we do diet? Or maybe we talk about exercise. We talk about brain health. We talk about disease, whatever it may happen to be. But I would like to give out 3 questions a week in advance, let the world know, hey, we're going to be talking about this show. This is what we're going to focus on. So if I have somebody here who's expert in alternative options, another one's in natural options, another one is on, say, fitness, even though they may not have the nutritional background, but they have the knowledge of things. I think that if we have a panel discussion, that we can look at a particular question or problem and say, how would somebody with a unique set of knowledge in this field be able to contribute to the solution of that particular, or an answer to that question? And I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see from a nutritional perspective, this is probably the best way to go. But, if you incorporate it with a little bit of this kind of fitness exercise, or you incorporate it with a little bit of this over here, those things complement each other, and we end up with a more total solution. And I think that is really and truly my vision for what this panel discussion would be. So once a week, we would have on a standard panel, maybe occasionally a guest because of their uniqueness in their skill set. But I think if we can provide the audience with the answers to questions, everyday questions that we have a need to know the answers to, then we're adding value to the world. And that's what the USA Global TV and radio program is here, is to educate, add value. And I think this is one of those ways to do it. What do you think, Dr. Jacqueline?
I agree with you. When are you thinking of starting this panel, Red?
You offered me the opportunity to start in July. I have taken the first 4 days of July, and I have them booked at a place away from home. And I will be unavailable for everyone because on July 3rd, it'll be my 54th wedding anniversary. And so my wife and I are going to go out and celebrate. And that's the plan. We dated for 3 years before we got married, so literally 57 years I have known my wife, and just such an absolute delight, just in so many different ways. We dealt with a problem here recently. She had some surgery, and beforehand we started concentrating on pain relief by using some natural options. And she went through this whole thing, spent the night in the hospital. It was major surgery, and literally from the time that she went in to the time that she came home, she has had zero pain. She is up moving around. She's driving all over the place. She's doing everything. Didn't you just have surgery? Yeah, a week ago, but you would never know it. And again, it's part of understanding how does the pain process work? What can you do to chop it off right there so it doesn't actually become pain? And so those are little things that maybe I have a little bit of an advantage over some people, but let's plan this, and that's what we did, and it worked very, very well. And so we're going to have a wonderful 4 days, starting the first 4 days of July. And so hopefully by the middle of July, we're up and operating. And in the meantime, I'm out recruiting. If you think you're a person for this particular position, contact Dr. Jacqueline or myself, and we will seriously consider you as part of the panel and go from there. So
thank you very much, Red. That's truly exciting. And congratulations on your incredible marriage and the beautiful partnership the two of you have together. I think one of your talking head sessions should be devoted to how to have a partnership in marriage like what you have. So just a suggestion.
I hear what you're saying, but that's very difficult to analyze at the cellular level.
All right. Well, we'll just leave it there.
Maybe the brain cells, the little gray cells up here.
All right, then, my friends, I will close out this show for us. Let's just say goodbye to everyone. Just let everyone know how to reach you before we do.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Jacqueline. It's been an absolute joy being on your show. This is the Talking Heads version of USA Global TV and Radio. I am Red O'Laughlin. Can be reached at red.olaughlin.com. It's RED like the color, O'Laughlin, OLAUGHLIN, O'Laughlin, red.olaughlin.com. And you can reach me email by red@red.olaughlin.com or red.olaughlin@gmail.com.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. I will see you shortly. Thank you again, Red. Nice job.
Take care, doctor. Bye now.
Bye. Well, folks, that concludes our programming for the day. We will be back tomorrow. I think we have 9 shows, so 29 shows on average each week. And if you would like to find out more about what we're offering, just go to our website, usaglobaltv.com. And the second tab, I believe, is shows. The third one is book your session. So if you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, that's where you would go ahead and book. And for the ability to watch our shows at your leisure, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV. And all of our shows are put into playlists by the end of the week. So whatever your shows are that you love watching, just go to that playlist and you can watch all of them there. And also you'll be notified when you subscribe about when we are live streaming. So we stream to a number of platforms, but I'm really trying to push everyone to the YouTube platform because we get to see a lot of demographics about who's watching, when they're watching, so we can make sure we are bringing you the type and quality of content that you're looking for. If you have any ideas about new programming, just reach out to me. I'm easy to find. I'm on usaglobaltv.com or drjacqueline.com. All right, that is a wrap for today. And please do remember to stay safe. I know here in Florida, we're expecting some major storms. So wherever you are in the world, whether there's a storm outside or there's a storm in your heart, just remember you're not alone. Reach out to other people, communicate with one another, lift each other up, and please do be an effective listener. Please be present for each and every one when you can. I know it's not possible because we have lives to live, but when someone reaches out and they really are looking for someone to be there for them, please do listen, and it makes a difference. You'd be surprised. All right. Thank you so much. That's all for now.